Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Loose Lips with Liku. I've not filmed a couple of episodes for a few weeks yet. I've been enjoying my summer holidays, to be fair. I've been working on the garden as well, so I'm back, episode 4, and I've got a really, really good friend of mine as the next guest. He is one of Super League and Championships, I would say one of the best goal kickers that's been in the recent years. He was labelled one of the most decorated amateur players in rugby league at the mighty Leigh Miners. And some may also say that he was one of the first ever Deliveroo servants back in the early 90s. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Is the main man himself, Mr. Martyn Ridyard. Ridy, how are you doing, lad?
I'm all right, young Toe. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. Good. Now, before I ask how you've been, I'm going to delve into this Deliveroo thing now. Back in 1994, a certain Toe Liku arrived in England playing for Leigh Centurions, and he lived on Henrietta Street. Now, those Leifers out there, you'll know exactly where Henrietta Street is. Now, his next door neighbour just so happened to be yourself, was that? Am I right, Martyn?
Correct. Cracking neighbour.
Now, when I say Deliveroo, now, I remember your dad telling me this story, and my old man backed this up as well. Your old man, Alf, used to send you down to the local shop on Henrietta Street for my dad some bits and pieces, shall we say. Is that right?
Probably, yeah. Honestly, I did that many trips. I don't even know who they were for.
And I always remember good old Alfie always said that you send our Martyn for bread and milk. That was all it was for your dad.
Yeah, I think when he first moved over, obviously, and he had the house next door of Tommy Coleman, and obviously your dad's fresh in England. I think, obviously, and I was only a little nipper. I had no idea. I don't think I'd ever seen a Tongan before. It was brilliant. And so he just sent me a shot for all. I used to just walk in, like, it was like my second home at some point. So he used to just walk in and there'd just be big Tongan sat on couch saying, like, here, do you want some popcorn? We've only got a little bit left. And Ball was like, literally like this, watching Heartbreak Eye, the Kiwi show. So I remember getting home from school and, like, I know everything about Heartbreak Eye just through being at your dad's. Like, it was mad. Everybody's watched Neighbours and Normal Way, but I wrote Kiwi shows and everything.
Brilliant. Love it. So I thought I'd get that in there because I always remember, and like I said, I asked my dad about that, and my dad always said, yeah, you should send him. My dad will be watching this as well. He's been watching all the episodes, so he'll be buzzing about that. So, like I said, how have you been so far? I know you've just come back from injury. Is that right? Over at Rochdale?
Yeah, I've just literally. I'll go back to last year. So, funnily enough, I was at a festival in Scotland with my wife at Transmit Festival, and we were playing Workington away. So we drove to stay over and said, we might as well drive Workington. And it was when England were playing in the finals last year. So I thought, right, we can get straight on car, straight back to Leigh Miners. We'll be at pub well before kick-off. About 25 minutes in game. Mrs. is just enjoying a second pint in sunny Workington. And I get a bit of friendly fire and snap my ankle. So that was pleasant. Luckily, though, I managed, we flew down M6. Well, Mrs. Atford drive, and she weren't happy about that. I was in back with a can of Cruise Campo, I think, getting ready for cheering on. Managed to get to Preston. They went, there's no break. Mrs. was like, that's good. I went, no, it's not good. It means I've done something else. So, like, snapped a ligament, come back, second game this year, Challenge Cup against Widnes. Literally, my last set at game for me, I was coming off, being subbed off for a rest, to concentrate on league. And a young kid called Joe Edge at Widnes stepped me, and I left my arm out and snapped my bicep, and I was absolutely fuming. I was like, I said to him, I said, I wish you'd have just ran over the top of me, mate, instead of trying to step me. So just two really unlucky things just happened, yeah. So finally back now. I feel like it's been a long 12 months, but with a little bit of pre-season in between.
That's not too bad. Like I say, at least you're back, and I know all the fans at Rochdale will be buzzing you back with yourself, and like I say, linking up with Greg again.
Yeah, do you know what? It's because I'd gone on board at Rochdale for being assistant coach as well, and see how I found coaching, whether I liked it. And again, it's been a blessing in disguise being injured a little bit, just because I've delved into like the clipping, the dealing with players outside of, like, off the training pitch as well, like, you know, trying to learn things that way and bit of man management stuff. So it's been good that I'm grateful Rochdale have let me do that. And like I said, unlucky for me and probably unlucky for the club I've not played. But on the other side, I feel like I've took quite a fair few steps forward on coaching side of things, but still learning, still very, very early. But I've enjoyed that as well. So, but now as I'm back, I was itching. About 2 weeks before I seen surgeon, I was unsure whether I'd be able to play or whatever. And then as soon as they gave me green tick, I was like straight in training, like as if I was under sevens again. It was brilliant. But so yeah, still a little bit of life in the old dog.
Correct, mate, correct. So as like I say, all my podcasts are about teachers and about, because I'm obviously one myself, that's what I've got into kind of after I delved into rugby. So I know we're obviously, another link between us is obviously the mighty Bedford High. So we both obviously went there. So if I could take you, Ridy, back to young Martyn, who's just turned up at high school, year 7, what does it look like? What does he look like? How's he feeling?
I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like a lad who's about 3'2" with a blazer down to his knees. That's what it looks like. I think my mum's kept picture, and it was one of them, it was like we had proper ties as well back then. It was none of these clip-ons. And
yeah.
When you put your tie on the big side, we thought it was cool to put the little side out there and have it dead short. And I'm thinking, when I look back now, shirt out, shoes on and that, we just look like little chavs. But yeah, we're good. It's very daunting, isn't it? Like, you've been there yourself and you'll have seen kids yourself. Like, it's year 7 going into like a big, you coming up against like year 11s who's getting ready to turn into young adults. So it's exciting, but it can be daunting as well. But I've got lots of good like memories from it all. Though. Brilliant, like some of the best times really.
So yeah, I think I mentioned that on my one I did last week on myself, that you can almost be, on that first instinct, you can almost be quite introvert and quite within yourself, and then you have a couple of weeks and that's it. Then you kind of, your personality comes out and whatnot. So I love that. I'm just picturing you at 3'2" with a blazer down to knees. It's brilliant.
More 5'10" now, so I'm not growing much.
So as you're going through high school and you're obviously getting through, you get to year 11 and then off you go into the kind of the big bad world. When you look back, what were your favourite subjects at school?
PE, obviously standard, especially like it's like going to and other towns have got the same kind of schools. Which we was a rugby school, so 90% of the lads, it's probably 80% of them. There was all rugby lads, so obviously PE was the one, because you wanted, not just because of the rugby, you all wanted to see if you could beat the footballers at football, the cricketers at cricket, etc. And that's just our nature, as we are competitive guys. And but funnily enough, geography, I had a bit of a thingy for geography as well, and I don't know why, but yeah, it was. I don't know. I think I probably went into it like my daughter said to him, you think you choose geography thinking, you should be learning about flags and countries, and it's not. And like, but it was quite good. We ended up on a couple of decent trips, like going into caves in Derbyshire and stuff, and when they're doing about all the salts in the rocks and everything.
Yeah. So I was the exact same,
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Like, to be fair, it was good. Like, I feel like I know a bit about it, and I'm telling everyone how water comes from sea, evaporates back into thinking, and they're probably just looking at me thinking, talking like you're a bum lad, like.
Honestly,
I might have learnt it wrong way. I don't know.
But honestly, it's something about geography. I don't know what it is. Like, mine was the exact same. Thinking, it's just like me with flags and capitals.
Yeah.
Like, what's the capital of France? About this, and then you're like, I'm thinking, but hang on. But when you learned about the stuff, it was like, it's actually pretty sick.
Yeah, it's do you know what as well, Ellie? You'd be very surprised. Like, with some of the countries, people don't know the capitals. Like,
no.
For example, we'll just say, what's capital of Australia? And people go Sydney straight away, and it's Canberra.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I have it all the time.
There's a lot of them like that as well, which is funny. Like, try to get through all pub questions here, quiz questions, but it's mad, isn't it? It's like, but you just remember stuff like that as a kid. You just do. High school as a big part of your life growing up, and like, you probably remember more of your high school than you do your primary schools and infant schools, to be fair, because you were like transitioning from a bit of a kid to a teenager into like a young adult. So you go through all the phases, I feel, a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm on a bit of a thingy from that. I bet it's been nice to obviously see, because I know you've got obviously your Grace and Josh. You'll be love seeing them and seeing how they're progressing through high school and how they would progress, how they have progressed and whatnot.
Yeah, it's class. Grace has just turned 17, so she left school 12 months ago. But it's mad, really, because obviously she went to Bedford High as well. And I remember going to the opening evening and thinking, like, school's not really changed much here, and that, and classrooms are set out similar, but it's modified. It's more modern now. And I just thinking, and Grace loved it as well. Like, it was good school, to be fair. I mean, some kids enjoy it, some kids don't. It is what it is, which we said we would talk about. But yeah, like, and then Joshua now getting into his sports. He's in year 5 at Gilded Hollins in Lawton, and he's got a brilliant teacher there, like, he's rugby mad. His teacher, Mr. Taylor, but he's brilliant with kids. Like, and to be fair though, what they do, they're not just all about, like, some schools don't really encourage sport now, but they really encourage it. And on sports day, they do have a winners and a losers, and I think that's vital because, like, in life, there is winners and losers. I just feel like you can't go through all the way through schools not knowing how to lose or how to win. But what they do is as good as they are at rugby, a lot of the kids for the team, they do threaten them, like, saying, listen, if you don't get your own look in, you're not playing on team. But that's good. Like, I think they've got that good balance. So it's probably a bit more interesting for me with him at the moment now because he's a lad as well. Like, obviously, like me, was Grace didn't really get into sport as enough at high school. So I didn't really delve into being back there as much as I'd like to, kind of thing.
Nice. When you were speaking then, it kind of took me back to a kind of Coach Carter scenario of, like, and I love that. And I almost said that's what I want when I've been helping out, when I've helped out rugby teams at different schools, is like, school comes first, and no matter what you want to do, no matter what you want to go on to, like, what you do in the classroom is going to set you up for life no matter what. So I love that. And then, like you said, the kind of almost seeing the progression as well has been lovely to obviously hear about, because obviously you're a dad first and more than anything.
Yeah, that's your number one job. It's the hardest job in the world, being a dad, and you're coming to it now, like with youngins, like you've just said to me. You just spent about 3 hours wrestling a 2-year-old football bed, but it's, do you know what? It's the best job in the world, though, and like seeing your kids doing that, and it's the tough times as well. Like, don't get me wrong, being a parent, very tough times. There's highs, lows, but everything it's better. It beats any job in the world. Like, for me, I don't know, being a full-time professional rugby league player for me, it was only so many years being full-time, but nothing beats that. Like, and like you said, even little things. It's not always about the sport. I remember when Grace left primary school at Leigh, and I was only dad crying because I was just like dead proud because she got these little achievements from, and it wasn't even anything to do with sport, and I'm sport mad. It was just, so yeah, it's like, say, that's probably a good thing with the progression side of it as well.
No, I love that. Love it. Now, building on from back to you now as a pupil, what teachers in that at Bedford inspired you? Now, I remember I mentioned a couple of mine. I think one might be similar. Now, I only saw him at the back end of his career, but I'm going to see if you mentioned the one that I mentioned.
Well, I had Mr. Oath.
Yes, that's the one.
Sadly, lately passed away. Wiganer. Loved giving banter at lads. He used to always have his old Wigan top on with Norweb. He was dead tanned. He looked like he'd had bloody wintergreen on all day because his shorts were short. You know what I mean? It's stocky, but brilliant guy. To be fair, Mr. Thompson as well. He was brilliant. He was the football side of things.
Yeah, MC.
Rugby. And then obviously Drinnan. You'd have had Mr. Drinnan, wouldn't you, Rob?
Yeah, I had Rob a lot more.
So Rob came in on like a work experience kind of side of things when I was there, but he was similar age to my brother. So but then it was funny because obviously we still had to call them sir, even though we're in year 11 and they were just transitioning, trying to get through. They were probably doing placements. Then within 6 months, we're going out into Leigh and we go, all right, sir. And he'd be like, shh, you call me Rob when I'm out here. And it's like, it's good, isn't it? Like, because again, like you said, we were saying earlier about the teacher-student relationship, like that's just it's a good memory I have of a good teacher. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, them three, obviously they're the sports ones, but I don't know if you ever had Mr. Ashmore, geography teacher, or he left?
I think he may have just left just as I
left under a bit of a cloud for whatever reasons. But yeah, with us, he was a I mean, a lot of teachers were characters back then, and you had that like mutual respect with them. Like you might have been a bit scared of one, or you probably got a little bit away with another one, and you could check your chances. And they did it with you, and like he'd have us and say, "Oh, you're not leaving early for school rugby today." And we're like, "But sir, we've got quarterfinals at English schools. Like we're playing whoever, and we've got a chance to get final." And they go, "Don't care, you're not leaving." And then he'd say, like, he'd get you up literally knowing that you're the, like, he's not going to let me go, he's not going to let me go. And then he'd get you up and he'd be like saying, "Right, what I want you to do in tackle today, this is a geography teacher's going, get into him, you give him a bit of this." He said, "And you nip him under arm there, and he'd nip you." Like, saying, "I'm showing you what to do." And you were like, but, like, just, I liked him, me. Like, I just thought, and like I said, some pupils probably didn't like that if you're not, you know what I mean? It's a different kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're growing up with that kind of environment, like especially with some coaches you have in rugby and stuff, yeah. And then my form teacher, who sadly passed away as well, Mr. Carlisle, he was a bit of a, he looked like my dad as well, funnily enough, at times like that. But he was a member of Leigh Rugby Union mainly, but he was a great bloke, and I was gutted I didn't really have him. He never really taught me much because he was my form teacher and he taught English, but he was like everybody, you know, when you got your planners at the beginning, you're, "Oh, who've I got for English, whatever," and everyone used to be like, "I hope I've got Mr. Carlisle, hope I've got Mr. Carlisle." And but he was like, yeah, brilliant bloke. He was, but he was a good bloke. He did anything for you as well. Like he knew you was a rugby lad. He knew you was a lad's lad, so you might have a little bit of cheekiness about you. You weren't naughty. Like you didn't ever give teachers any jib. You had that mutual respect, but you know you could push the boundaries a little bit. But man management, they were brilliant at that. That's what they were good at. Like they've done it for a long time, experienced, and yeah, he was a great bloke.
No, I can imagine, because obviously the blokes you mentioned, the first three, obviously Ian Howarth, Mick Thompson, and obviously Rob. Like I've experienced them, and I know that they were obviously, like you just said, their man management, the three of the best. Like they just knew that they knew what they had in front of them, and they knew how to handle and how to. So they knew that someone like myself, like I was never going to misbehave. Like you know me, Dad. You've seen. Yeah. Imagine if I'd misbehaved and I'd gone home to my dad, and then it's not my dad I'd be scared. My mum I'm more scared of than my dad.
Yeah, Elaine will be out with belt.
I know. So you like, but obviously, but then I had like lads in my year group that had a bit of character about him. Like you'll know Adam Whiteside.
Yeah.
The brilliant lad, but he had a bit of character about him. But like Rob and Mick knew how to deal with him, and
yeah,
like he wasn't just like you said, no disrespect to anyone or no kind of like horrible nature. He was just like I say, a lad's lad, and
yeah, it just, that's what I mean. You can. I know times have changed and it's hard, and like I was literally just saying about it's difficult for teachers as well. But I just think sometimes the way it's just how everything's changed, and it's not always on the pupil and it's not always on the teacher. It's like a 50-50 thing this day and age. Like I said, we was probably cheeky chappies and all that, and a bit we did get in some trouble, but when we did, you learned from it and you knew, oh, I'm in trouble here. Like you went to head teacher or whatever, and your mums and dads thinking, but like it's. Yeah, I think there's some now, like with kids, they just think they can get away with it and they're not bothered. And I do feel for some teachers, like, so some, again, but some teachers are probably on the wrong side of it as well. It's just learning, isn't it? And I think I wouldn't like to be a teacher now, but I would have done back in the day, because they'd have been like your mates a little bit, wouldn't they? Whereas now it's hard because they just want to take you for granted and probably take Mick too much.
Yeah, and like I said, there's kind of, it's nice to hear that it isn't. And for me, one of the biggest things is trying to build that rapport. Like I did a bit of a like kind of a survey on like who kind of has that kind of respect for me as a teacher, and I found that a lot of it's come from a lot of my respect that kids have for me is for the like I say, the relationship, but that comes from what I experienced with Rob, with Mick, and some of my other teachers as well. So. No, it's nice to, obviously, as a teacher, it's nice to hear outside perspectives on that more than anything.
Yeah, but and there's been times when, say, if Grace has come home with some incident and said, "Oh, this teacher picking on me, etc.," and I'll just say, "Teachers don't just pick on a random pupil." I have actually seen it. Like, you've probably seen it. It does happen. Like, if you spend 5 years with a kid in high school and there's constantly yap, you're just gonna wake up. It's not like if we're going, like for me, if I'm going to work or if I'm going training or anything, and it's like if someone's constantly there, you just think, "Oh, I can't be doing with this today." Like, you have your own lives as well. You're not just a teacher full time. You're a dad at home. You know what I mean? You've got your family life and stuff like that. Obviously, you're still doing a bit of playing, aren't you? So, like, if you have a bit of, I was trying to say this, it's hard because, like, you have a work balance life, a family life, and an activities side. So, and no one knows you. No one knows you. So they don't know, like, what you're going through as well. And so you're allowed to feel like that about a pupil, I would say. Like, but the pupil's also allowed to feel like that about a teacher. I think it's hard. It's one of them things. Like, it's tough. It's a tough gig.
Yeah, it is, and do you know what? I always say it's probably one of the toughest jobs out there, but it's one of the most rewarding. And I'll always say that. And for me, and it's all I've learned this from obviously having Rob as my mentor when I was training to teach early on when I just finished playing, and it's always putting the kids first, and that's one thing that I'll obviously remember. You'll obviously remember about teachers is that they put the students first, and the students replicate. They understand that, and they respect that more than anything.
Yeah, just putting a bit of effort into the kid, and I think, like we're saying, it's tough though. There's so many, like, all right, if you're in one classroom now, the average, like, say in a primary school, it's like 30 kids. Bedford High, we had 9 forms of about 25 to 30 kids. So a lot of kids. It's nearly 300 kids. So it's like, and I know you're not all there in one go, but it's a lot of time and effort that you have to put in, like, in high school. And I think I can understand why some do and some don't want to do it. I mean, if you put the time and effort in and it's reciprocated, then it's fair enough. But sometimes, like you say, you can put time and effort in and you don't get rewarded because the kid's not interested, and it's hard. But then when they are interested, and you see, it just takes that one little light thing for one little light bulb in one of them, and it's rewarding, isn't it? I get it. Like, yeah, it is. I can understand it being like Greg McNally's a teacher now. He's at like one of these naughty schools, and he said, like, one of Grace's friends, when I won't mention any names, like, but obviously he said best student he's ever had, but she just didn't like being obviously in another school. With more kids or whatever, and you just put a little bit of time and effort into her, and she was brilliant. He said it's the best student she's ever had, like good as gold, were even naughty. I was like, sometimes it's just, and we had an old family member who was saying, kicked out of school, just did not get on with school, just wasn't for him. I think he just needed a bit of one-on-one time, and that successful plasterer now, brilliant, like no jit, never in trouble, nothing. Made out like he was this bad egg at school, and it's tough though. It's a tough gig because, like you say, you can't, like, if you're ahead of year, you've got potentially 300 kids for monitor, like, all the way through, and it's tough, isn't it? Like, imagine all 300 come for a question every day. You wouldn't be at home, would you?
I know. Your workload would be immense, and like, I might actually speak to Greg as well, teacher to teacher, and be like, so I'm going to speaking to him. I'm also going to speak to Matt Costello as well. I know another ex-teammate of yours, so.
Right, because he can't be a teacher. Jesus.
Oh, he is. Trust me.
Because he don't know what 2 add 2 is. He's not a clever lad, him.
I can't wait for speak to him about this. This is brilliant. Love it. Yeah. Right, going on to rugby now. Now, I mentioned it at the start. You are, and I read this on Wikipedia. I thought, nah, this is who's wrote this? But do you know what? Delving into it, you were actually one of the most decorated amateur rugby league players going, weren't you, in the early 2000s?
Oh, my dad probably wrote it, so I don't know. I did all right, yeah. To be fair, I did. Back then, if you didn't get, like, you did your scholarships in your academies, but because of the winter season, amateur and summer season, you could kind of flip between both, and it wasn't the good thing about playing amateur there. I know they still do all these tours and that, but like, we played for Barla Great Britain. Went to Australia for 4 weeks, played against schoolboys, like Dobbo and everyone playing for them. It was brilliant. I actually played against Corey Patterson, and it was only, and I played at Leigh with Corey Patterson, and it was only after we'd finished at Leigh, I was in garage looking at this team, playing in middle of sticks in like a country team. Corey Patterson, I thought, can't be the same one. So I said, Corey, did you play in such and such a game? I won't get any emails here. And he said, yeah. And I went, no way. I said, I played in that game. And he said, yeah, he travelled 6 hours to go to the game from Newcastle, I think he went, into Forbes. And it's like, just so like, yeah, I know I'm rambling on there, but like, it's just amateur then. It was good. You still, if you haven't made it pro, even at 16, 17, it weren't the end of the world. You had other opportunities for getting and stand out in shot window that way. So yeah, I did a couple of them Barla tours and ended up playing like under 21s, under 23s, open age. So it was good. Do you know what? I was literally talking about it to someone yesterday, saying we went with the open age Barla, and it turned to GB amateurs then, and we're literally exactly the same with Lion on. Whereas it was great when Moz played and he got sent off, and it was Gillette. We all got Gillette packs, same. It just said GB amateurs instead of GB rugby league. Played, what was it? Been 2007 or 8, I think. And we played French team away, and they were like on trial for World Cup. So they had a load of internationals playing, and we beat them 30-28, and it was unbelievable. But it was practically a stag do with a game of rugby on a Wednesday night, though. It was brilliant. And we actually beat them, but you know what I mean? You can go through every achievement you want, but some of the best ones have been at amateur as well.
No, 100%. And you could go through many a rugby league player, and they'd probably say the exact same thing.
Yeah, like, who wants to be training full-time at Wigan at 16-year-old when you can be on your way to East Hull with Miners lads? You know what I mean? Drinking cider on the way home. Why not? They used to make you drink that, right? Sat there with all these blokes just like that, with cigs out and cans saying, come on, young gun, get stuck in. It's like, just good. It's good. It's character building, I like calling it.
No, 100%. Definitely character. That's a definite word to describe it, character building.
Character building, yeah.
So you then you did all the kind of Barla tours, and then it's on to your hometown of Leigh. Like, obviously, you went, I know I'll speak about I know my experience when I joined, and I only played at, like, say, reserve. I played a couple of games in pre-season 2015, but you ended up playing and being very, very successful for your hometown team. Like, how was that? How did that feel in terms of a genuine Leigh lad coming through and being arguably one of the best to ever do it for Leigh?
Yeah, it's funny really, because we're literally talking about it with my lad Joshua before, and he was going, he's 10 now, and he's grasping the whole, he's into the leopard side, but he remembers the Centurions, and he vaguely remembers being up pitch with North Stand as a young kid and stuff, and he just said, was it still leopards when you played? I went, it wasn't. Said, like, you've got kits, but yeah, stuff like that's good. But then it don't really sink in as much, because, to be fair, I'll be honest, I didn't really want to sign for Leigh. I went Warrington in 2005. I had an academy, like a reserves contract as such it was then. And obviously, there was a few of us who was like a bit older, so you're on brink of trying to play. And a couple of lads ended up playing first team, like Kev Penny, Blythe, everyone. A lad called Anthony Zaram, who's a model now. I think he was a Crossfields lad originally. So yeah, didn't really work out for me as I'd like to. Probably because I put work first rather than gambling on rugby. And I loved it there. Gary Chambers, he was brilliant. Taught me so much in 2 years. I went back Miners thinking, Andrew Johns, man, it was brilliant. Like, he was one of the best blokes I've ever met. He was so brilliant. And then, so I actually got asked to go on loan, like with these Chinese whispers, to Leigh when Darren Shaw were coaching. And I said, no, I'm not playing for Leigh. But then ended up having grace, so I couldn't go on these Barla tours anymore. So I thought, well, I might as well go Leigh and have a crack and try and earn a few quid. And that's how it happened. Literally, I played. So obviously, you started your amateur season September. So I played like September, October for Miners. They said, right, you can play these last couple of games, but you have to be in November 1st at Hilton Park pre-season. So I literally played Saturday, went training for Leigh on Monday, and that were it. And I think I played 14 games in my first year. But the good thing is I'd already played open age rugby as a young kid and that. So I was still way off the mark a little bit. I mean, I played all right in patches, but me, like I just said to you about going back minors, thinking I'm Andrew Johns, thinking I know it all. I knew nothing. And like the year after Ian Millward came, and I was going to go back minors again. I thought about just going back minors, and Ian Millward rang me. I was on a scaffold in Westley, and he's like, "Oh, when you stay next year, it'll like be pay as you play kind of thing." So I thought I'm going to have to learn something under him, surely, because I thought obviously I did think I was a bit. I wouldn't say I thought I was better than what I was, but I was a bit. I felt like it was what I'd learned at Warrington was probably. I'll put it into a game at minors, but I felt like I had more offer a little bit. No, did I think wrong? He picked my game pieces here, Millward, man, but it made me better. Like, I remember scoring a try against Whitehaven, and I was like, he's like, "What do you think now?" And I thought, yeah, left foot, straight under sticks. Like, I thought, what's wrong with that? And he went, "You've got a 4-on-1 outside here. Why not just pass ball to your teammates?" And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah." Like, but that was the beauty about it. Like, because no disrespect to amateur, you don't get that kind of coaching. Like, you just don't. And it was just good, yeah. So, like, loads of memories. I mean, I could talk about every pre-season games, whatever. But like, yeah, it was just to do that, and then I never thought about where I'd end up. I never thought, right, where I want to be 10 years later. I never thought about records and things like that. I just played the game. That's probably the good thing about me, the way I've been brought up, and like yourself, and a lot of other communities that same. When you get brought up in these little tight knit rugby environments, is like you don't really go and play it for break a record or something. You end up, it just happens. Like I remember John Woods is greatest of all time in this town, and people in Australia even know who he is, and it's like. He said, you won't understand anything you've done for this club until you've been retired like 10 years. He said, you'll just not be bothered. And he's right, like, it doesn't bother you. It's just weird.
It's mad, because I reckon because you're obviously still playing as well, like, you won't have that time to kind of sit back and think and be like, do you know what? Yeah, I actually did I didn't do half bad in those years. And like, you might sit 10 years time, you might think a memory might pop up from a random 2012 game. You think, do you know what? Yeah, was actually really good that.
Yeah, but there's also been times where you think you could have been better and stuff like. Everyone's their own critique and that, so you don't. It's mad. But I did actually. I went to a league game last year, funny enough, when I was on crutches, and I went and Mike Latham had me upstairs, and I said it's probably one of the first times I've been back realistically watching, and I'd never really drank at a league game ever. I either played or I was a kid watching Leigh, so it was weird. And I'd had a few bevs, and I was like, yeah, do you know what? I do miss North Stand a little bit, like, and I was like, it was just a bit surreal because if I go with kids at Misses now, we sit on the other end at South Stand, on the west side. So I just go in, and I like just sitting out way a little bit and chill, and or sometimes we even go out east side out at way. But there is like I would have I don't know. I'd have loved to have had like a big game though, like where like for example my testimonial, it would have been lovely, like see it, and Morford probably thanked these people who supported you over years, but like there's everyone whoever plays for certain clubs will have a similar feeling where you run out to your own crowd. Ours were at North Stand, and I know they get more fans now. We was only probably getting 4,000 or whatever, and they get an average of 8 nearly now. So, but that 4 was heartwarming. You knew they had your back a little bit, and I know people at Saints, Wigan, everywhere, they'll all have same. Even all like Featherstone, they have it, and they have your back and that, and it's good. And so, but like yeah, and the weird one is, I think it was 2011 Northern Rail. All my mates were in crowd when we won it, and it's like you're playing for them, but you also have this in the back of your mind thinking, would I rather be there supporting, like on keg with my mates, like, or would I rather be here? So it's not a case of like, look at me, I'm on here, you're there. You always have that little doubt thinking, oh, I wish I wouldn't stand celebrating this a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? It's just that cat way how it goes, but just mad.
Yeah, it is mental, and like I know obviously I remember when I first joined, and obviously we used as young'uns, we used to do a bit of training, especially in 2014 with yourselves, because we were all in the same boat, being, like you said, not like part-time as such. And then seeing likes of yourself, like your edge was ridiculous in 2014. Like you had Sars, Tom Armstrong, Liam Kane. It was just like watching that as a middle in training, you just be like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, we always have a laugh about that, saying like left side, strong side. It was mad really how it happened, because Tom Armstrong originally came on loan from Saints and played on right. Very rarely played left. I think I had Tommy Goulding quite a lot. And then Sarsi came. It just worked. Liam Kay came as an halfback, for replaced me or for put pressure on me. I don't know. Ended up on a wing, but one of the best. Had a great career in Super League on wing. Still playing a bit. Like unbelievable. Like ruined us as an halfback, but didn't play like how I would like control the game. He had the pace where he'd chip and chase off the cuff. He was brilliant, but then ended up being our best winger. It was just mad, that left edge. It was just, I don't know, it was one of them years where everything just clicked. It was just like, yeah.
Yeah, because like on your right edge, it was Kez, Tommy Goulding, and then I think AJ was on the wing as well. And it's just like everything worked. I think that transformed into us as well at under 20s. Like everything just clicked.
Yeah, it was a transitional year, 2014, because we was like, Derek had just got back involved 2013, put us up like, and we'd not been paid for win Northern Rail. We were just literally playing for free, but we wanted to win it. And then Derek sorted us all out for winning it. He said, listen, if you win it, I'll pay all your win pays what you've missed out on. So 2014 was a bit of a transitional year because he was getting back involved. Wanted to throw a few quid at it, but Rolls had built a team from 2012. So I was talking about this actually yesterday, saying how he must feel. An achievement's not necessarily like going winning a Challenge Cup with a superstar team. It's building something from 2012 to 2014 to winning a grand final to full time. That's an achievement. Like in my eyes, it is anyway. And so that 2014 was good, and there was always listen. We need win league grand final for getting the money, and we'll go full time year after. So we had an end goal, and like I said, I don't know. It was a mad year because we had players. We had Stu Littler in centre at one point and at back row. Then Chris Hankerson had come in for a game. Cameron Pittman, do you remember Aussie lad Cameron Pittman? He played at centre for a bit. We had other lads playing different, like we had Penke and Bob Bezic. We had all these players who could just come in. Kurt Agate, who's obviously at Salford, was like our number 14. He'd come on it back row, but he had probably the best skill set as an half, but he was a tough, like a prop, but just wasn't big enough. It was weird. It was a weird mixture, but like a very good team as well. We signed Greg Worthington from Fev, and he ended up playing. We had players who could just drop in and it'd still click. It was just like, it was a bizarre year, really, like how everything just went. Like I said, must have been a bit of luck as well. Must have been.
And then some fuzzy-haired bloke decided to sign from the NRL, didn't he?
Oh, ooh-ah.
But yeah,
Tom Spencer is like, he just like, obviously we used to watch all Aussie shows and stuff, and it was obviously everyone's been obsessed with Fuifui because of his name. His name, it didn't matter how he played. He was like, and I know there's loads of double barrel names in NRL now, but it was Fuifui Moa, and everybody was like, who's this guy? And then obviously the big collision with Sam Burgess, and I know it was a big shot, but then Fuifui was just like, obviously he's the steam train and that, and it was like, we're going to sign Fuifui. I was like, no, we're not. Pre-season training in Lanzarote, who turns up? Fuifui. I was like, yeah, yes, docs. And you know what? Met your dad, Leigh, every Tongan who's ever been probably this side of the globe, I've met through your dad and Leigh, because they're the original probably two who's been in. I think Leigh was here from 80s.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just so welcoming, like Fuifui, like, and I think he's a big NRL icon. People in Australia would probably still pay money to have a picture with him. And he's just like taking me to your dad's house for get on Carver and that. And I was like, it's just surreal. Like, as a kid from, you said this. So that's the thing I'll tell you about playing for Leigh and achievement. It's not about the records or what you've done. It's getting to play with players like Fuifui. Like, I played with Fuifui Moa, NRL icon. Played with Willie Tonga, who's part of the 8 series dynasty.
Yeah.
Like Manny Matua, legend. Like these blokes, you get to play with them. It's like you're a Leigh lad. You're not entitled to play with someone like Fuifui Moa. You know what I mean? It's just mad. And I know it's only names on paper. Like I know it is, but it's just the way the world's gone now. It's just
it's growing up watching these superstars. Like I always tell the story to my mates of when I was at Leigh. It was 2015, and we just signed Mickey.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I was sat in Morrison's having a breakfast, just on minding my own business. I think I was on my way to college. I was doing the uni course there, and it was you and Mickey had walked in for your morning coffee, and you shouted over, going, "You're right, young Toe." I said, "You're right, Ridy." And then obviously Mickey was in tall behind you, and he knew. I was like, "Oh my God," because I'd obviously grew up watching Mickey. Like I support Warrington, and Mickey's part of the reason why I support Warrington.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved him and the story with him and my dad and whatnot, and I'll never forget that. And it was just like, Jesus Christ, like I've got to know Ridy really well, but then Mickey knows who I am.
Yeah,
you calling me young Toe, it's mad.
I'm gonna just jump back on that a bit as well. When I was saying for me, so Mickey played for my dad at Leigh Miners, and he's known me since I was born. Like, so I've grown up like a bit in awe of Mickey. And I was like, when I got to play with him, like very rarely he'd have only known me after that, like as a teenager at Miners because of my dad and stuff. And it's like, you know, when you see these players and they know you, and it's a bit like pinch me moment. But I had it with Stuart Donlan. Stuart Donlan was like all these kids who I'd seen at Miners, you know, growing up, and they've played first team and Super League. Mickey with Great Britain. Mickey killing it and winning Challenge Cups and everything. And you just think, and then he's like, you just think they're a different kind of person to you and that, but they're just normal people. You just don't expect it, do you? Like, and you just think, you see all these people on telly and you think, oh, they're a superstar and I'm just a Leigh lad from Leigh Miners. He was a Leigh lad from Leigh Miners. It's just one of them, innit? When you're a kid, you meet all the right people. And so, yeah, I just want to jump on back of that one with that, because Mickey and Stu Donlan was like that as well for me, mad. So, like, Mickey's gone from throwing me in mud as a baby 2-year-old to, like, me watching him play, to playing rugby with him, to being mates with him. And it's just like, it's all like a surreal, it doesn't feel real, does it, sometimes? And that's the beauty of our sport, I think, as well.
Yeah, because I remember, and I go back to the Morrisons. I was sat there, me thinking, "Oh my God, that's Mickey Higham." Like, so I always say there's two people that, because I never really supported rugby growing up as a young kid, but there was two blokes, and one of them I met, and one of them I also knew through my dad with Mickey, and I obviously got to meet Louis Anderson now because of my dad again, like you said, and them two kind of got me into the kind of supporting one team. And then to see Mickey whilst I'm sat there eating, probably wasn't the healthiest thing in the world, but I didn't care because I thought I've met an idol, and I don't think he would have known who I were if you hadn't have said young Toe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's good, isn't it, that? But yeah, just surreal, isn't it? But
and then it's just mad. It is mad. And then obviously you go and do mad things at Leigh, like you go full time. You then not successful in 2015, to then being successful in the Super 8s, and then after that, it kind of, I don't know, how would you describe it after that? That kind of, after the surrealness of 2016, and it kind of, I don't know, it almost changed for yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I think what I always say is you aim for a pinnacle in sport, and for us, it's probably Super League and then international and that and stuff. And obviously, because it didn't work out for me a bit, but it did and it didn't, and it's like you get to the top and then you think, well, it's not all that kind of thing. Now, the Super 8s getting promoted were brilliant, but yeah, then the next step, probably, like, there's loads of different Chinese whispers about how like, Rolls was one for it, saying I'm not a good trainer. Like, I am one of the best trainers. I just don't lift heavy weights. Like, I've never lifted heavy weights. I've never pushed myself to be a strong man. Like, I've never pushed myself to go and be a bodybuilder. One thing I like with running, anything like that, like bleep tests and stuff, I'll try and win. I'm competitive. I've just never been into the weight side of things. So there's always that a bit of a cloud saying I'm not a good trainer, etc. So, and I think it kind of didn't go in my favour a little bit that year, which felt a bit unfair. I mean, I started off, I got injured in pre-season, I tore my hamstring, and then I rushed back for play that Cast game. Probably, shouldn't have played. Did myself no favours, but rightly so, I got dropped because I didn't play well at all, which is my own fault. But then,
bearing in mind that Cast team was outstanding.
Oh, brilliant! And when you look back now, no one, they got to grand final that year, and that Cast team were brilliant. But it's no excuse because you can still have a decent game and get whacked off Castleford away because there was a good team. It was a tough place to go. Like, I didn't have a good game. I will honestly put my hand up, and I always said he had every right to drop me. But what I didn't like was I trained well and then didn't get a chance back and stuff. So it didn't work in my favour. And then I was in and out a couple of times. And I just felt a bit like I'd worked hard from 2012 with that team all the way through to get to the pinnacle there, and it didn't really work out. And it kind of knocked it a bit. But luckily, I went to Huddersfield on loan, and that probably it was a good thing because all I'd ever known was Leigh. I'd never been to another club, so how they operate, how other people, how other players present themselves, etc. And it was good. It was a good eye opener. Probably did me a world of good as well because my most success of probably playing in Super League was only them eight or 9 games at Huddersfield, but I loved it. Like, probably something I needed it. I mean, I know it. Being a Leigh lad, you want to just play for Leigh forever, and Leigh fans want Leigh lads playing forever. They don't like it when you go away. But I didn't get any jip off anyone. It was just they understood it. It was what it was. I had to go on loan if I wanted to play rugby. Don't want to sit in stands, do you? It's not like I don't get when people want to say, "Oh, they'll sit there and pick the money up." You grow up for play sport. You don't grow up to earn the money. The money side's just a bonus. It is. Unfortunately, it is. Football's different. You grow up wanting to be a Premiership footballer because of the money. You grow up wanting to play rugby league because your hobby. And then you get privileged to get paid for it. That's why I'll always say about it. So, I'm a bit gutted but I'm also like, you can't live with any regret. And I loved my time at Huddersfield. It was brilliant. It made me, again, try and change my game to a different level. And I got to play with Ryan Inchcliffe there. You know, when you're talking about these players again. Melbourne Storm legend, like assistant coach, coaching Samoa this year. Danny Brough, what is he, all-time point scorer or up there, one of them? He's, you know what I mean? Like, people, different opinions on him. Great bloke, loved him. Like, you're just mad. It's just so, it is what it is. With that 2017, it was still good memories because of what we achieved to get there. And I do feel it was unlucky that year as well because we didn't finish bottom of Super League. Widnes did. Everybody knew the rules and they got beat in £1 million game. Yeah. That was probably the hardest watch I've ever done. I was doing radio. I was injured. Couldn't play. I weren't playing. Obviously, Huddersfield had sent me back, so I was out for the season. I'm doing radio and I'm banking on 17 players keep my contract for next year. And we got beat. And that was an hard watch because everybody's like thinking, "Oh, I bet you're buzzing. They've lost. You've not playing." I'm like, "I've just lost my job, mate. Like, why would I be happy?"
Yeah, no. I remember being, because I was at the trust at the time, and being around the club in 2017 was, especially that game, was tough, and there was some tough conversations. There were tough things that happened in that year, and leading into 2018, and then there on afterwards, then that could probably kind of rebuild, and then, but with yourself, you then, was it transition to Fev after that in 2018?
Yeah, so originally I was meant to be staying at Huddersfield. I kind of sorted a deal where because it was meant to be my testimonial coming up at Leigh. So the idea was to re-sign what I wanted at Leigh, which was going to be less money anyway, but go on loan to Huddersfield. So Huddersfield was keen on taking me, but obviously they just signed Jordan Rankin and Jordan Turner, so they couldn't really sign me. And bearing in mind, they already had Lee Gaskell on a big contract and Bruffett. So it was, and Jordan Rankin and Jake Mamo. So it was all these players. And it's like, I'd have gone on loan and fought for a shirt, no problem, even if it meant me waiting in wings. You know your role. They get first crack, train well, take your opportunity. It is what it is. And then I was on holiday and it was Duff's give me a ring from Fev about going there. And they'd just signed Tom Holmes and someone else. But they said, "Oh, we'll make room for you. Come if you fancy it." And I thought, well, I've already travelled Huddersfield here. I did want to stay at Leigh. I wanted my testimonial. I really wanted to just stay there. Like, because I love the club and I'm a Leigh lad. But do you know what? It was brilliant at Fev. I loved it. Like 12 months there. Mad 12 months. Mad place. Probably one of the weirdest places I've ever played. But even like, I've had so much stick from over years. And then I finally played for them and they still give me stick. But like, that was just their banter. It were mad as hell. Like, but
yeah, like, because I remember when, look, I say I'll go back to my time at Leigh, and the one constant throughout, and you probably thought this more at probably first team level, was there wasn't really anyone in probably the championship and in our league that was kind of a rival other than Fev.
yeah.
And I think it's just because of the success and the kind of history in recent time between Leigh and Fev that kind of built a kind of, like I say, a high-end rivalry almost.
Yeah, we didn't end it. That's how it happened. I mean, it was like Leigh Halifax a bit. We had Leigh Widnes early doors, and then ended up being a bit of Fev was our bogey team. There was quite everyone's bogey team before. They had a good side. They used to win everything. But yeah, it was. So you go to Fev, and you know you're in for a ding dong of a game. But I actually love the old school grounds. You know, when it's literally just railing during the pitch with the stands. I actually like that. Like Wakefield, I used to love Wakefield a little bit how it were. Batley, similar vibes. Just yeah, but they're a bit naughty their fans, or they was. So, but yeah, I do like the old school grounds, but Fev was good and it was mad. And do you know what? Like it was, a bit unlucky how it all. That was another year where it went a bit tits up kind of thing, all with the Super 8s and the finance side of things. If you didn't make the 4, and we was unlucky a bit. We had some bad injuries, but I had a really good year there. Like I enjoyed it. It was, even with travelling, it was just something new, you know, travelling to a different, rather than just me walking from round corner to Leigh. No excuse of ever being late. It's on my doorstep. I don't drive. I just walk through the Ginnell and I'm at Sports Village. Literally on the path was my house was the first house. So to having to go and meet and get a Lancashire buzz. So there's a few of us from Lancashire travelling together. It was good. It was something new and it was fresh. And like I said, we had about 6 of us that used to travel over together, and like a Wenger buzz, man. It was mad. But yeah, it was class. It was good. It was a good. I like Fev. I do have a soft spot for him. Like they probably weren't happy that I left, but it was I just did it for personal reasons. It was nothing else, because if anything, it hurt me financially leaving Fev. And like I say, you don't always play for the money. So which if I was about the money, I'd have just stayed there and took it out the pockets. But I didn't want to do that. Like my heart weren't in it. It was nothing to do with the club and nothing as such. It was just one of them things. They was going to go through a transitional period, and I didn't really want to do that again. So I ended up back at Leigh.
And then, like you say, it was you're obviously back at Leigh, COVID hit, and then all the kind of parameters around that. And then, like, how was that time, obviously, coming back to Leigh after having a bit of a venture out? Was it like you'd never been away, or was there kind of a transition in terms of new players, etc.?
Yeah, there was a big transition with players, but the coming home was like a kid at Christmas. I was like, yeah, like I said, it hurt me financially coming back, but it's what I wanted. Like I wanted to play for Leigh again, and in front of that North Stand, like I was saying earlier, you do miss it, and it's like that little buzz. And so yeah, I think I got probably still on the same number. I remember Derek texting me saying, "Enjoy the cheers tonight. I'll be having a beer for you, mate. Like I'm buzzing you've come back and stuff." And I remember thinking, like, I'm back. I'm where I belong and stuff. And Mickey was staying on board, so Mickey were captain, our vice captain. Finally got like back, you know, like to that senior rank role a little bit.
Yeah.
Signed loads of Leigh lads. Greg, managed to get Greg back. It was like we're getting the band back together a little bit, but then a couple of players I hadn't played with for years, Andy Thornley. Then we signed his brother Ian. So it was like, we were bringing like this, what it felt like for me was what it was like 2012 under Rolls, where we were building again. And it was like, what I always like to use the term is you're an amateur club. You know, you bond, but playing in a professional environment. Because when you play, obviously when I grew up at my amateur club, it was like you did everything together. Tuesday, you train together. Thursday, you train, probably go and play darts and snooker in club after. Maybe a poker night. if there was ever a function on a Friday, you all went there. You played together Saturday. You remember watching under-18 Sunday, but I probably would have played in it because I was young. And that's what we had at Leigh for a bit, like that kind of culture, which were brilliant. And so, yeah, I was like, when I knew what Duffs was trying to do and bring these players in, we had Luke and Toby Adamson, who'd never played for Leigh, but they were Leigh lads, or like Lewton because they're posh. But it was good. It was just like, yeah, that was mint. And then it just got a bit. Do you know what? We were doing really well. Toulouse was massive favourites that year, and I think we beat them at home. Toronto. But Toulouse, we beat them at home, and then we ran Toronto dead close, and there was the money bags like team. They'd signed all these players, and I think we only lost something like 14-8 at home, and we was like massive underdogs. But it was good, and I enjoyed being the underdogs. But again, we did probably fall short a little bit, and I think we got beaten playoffs early, but. That ended a bit weird for everyone because a lot of people left again. Because to be fair, probably the club look at where they are now for the right reasons at the time. They was trying to get back to that level again. So yeah, and then obviously I did re-sign, but COVID hit. So I think my last game for Leigh was Salford in a friendly or something like that. But which COVID was just a mad time for everyone, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was meant just the change and, like I said, people leaving, people coming in, and it was just bonkers at that time. And then post-COVID, you're looking at back on the Lancashire Trail, Swinton and Oldham. What were they?
Yeah, it's funny really. So COVID, I think the ban lifted, and then you could go places. So I remember going to Alton Towers around July time, but it was for my daughter's birthday in April, but it was short. And Stu gave me, and I was COVID made me realise that I could probably live without rugby. I was just playing golf or having barbecues. I was just constantly training. I probably trained harder in that COVID period than I have all my career. I would go to the gym all the time. Like, it was just mad. And then Stu rang me and said about, do you fancy coming playing at Swinton? And I was like, I didn't know I didn't know if I wanted to do that. Like, and it weren't about the step down. It was more about, like, I didn't know what I've been like part-time / full-time for the last nearly 10 years or so with that. And I thought, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I want to do in my life now, so never mind then. And it was just, yeah. And do you know what, though? It was like going back playing for Miners. It just gave me a new love for the game a bit. Like, and again, not in a thingy way, but with genuine people, lads who are part-time, who I had to do that. I remember getting dropped off after being on a roof all day in the middle of Leigh, running to training in my work stuff because I wanted to be there and not late. And going to Swinton, like, give me that kind of love a little bit for rugby again. Whereas COVID and a bit of a couple of like issues on and off the field with rugby, mate, like, yeah, it just changed. It was good, and like, I'm grateful for Stu for that because he did give me that little bit of a bug for play again. And it was an unlucky year at Swinton. They succeeded really well the year before. I think they finished 6th, but like Jack played, Anson, they had all these kids from Wigan playing. Then they'd signed a few of us from Leigh. Liam Forsyth was like the big money centre. They'd signed me, Sam Brooks, but then we lost Lewis Hatton, who was our starting prop. We lost Liam Forsyth, who was our big marquee centre signing. Richard Lepori, who was our best winger. So I said, we lost 3 main players and not really replaced them. And that's not an excuse. But then going into games, losing 21-20, 24-22, these players can stand up and help you get over to winning 20, 24-22. So feel a bit, that squad was hard done by that year. So then, yeah, so obviously Stu got sacked and I just went with Stu because I enjoyed what he was about. He was trying to create, I felt like what Stu was trying to do was not mimic roles, but like do something, put his own spin on things, but create that kind of culture where you want everybody, like, if you have an issue at home or at work, you go to rugby, you've got a little get out, you can switch off for that 2 hours, not worry about your family issues or your work issues, and you can just go be with the boys, throw egg around, throw a bit of weights around if you want or whatever. And that's what I've enjoyed the back end of my career. It's like done full circle. So from amateur to building to full time and then going back to here.
Yeah.
Which you think it's going back round and you're dropping down. It's not. It's just giving you that new passion and love for the game and why you started first place in my eyes. Like, people might disagree and think like they'd never want to do it. And I totally understand it. But yeah, it's just mad. It's mad how it is, and like I say, a couple of good years there, and it's just one thing I will really feel for is these lower league clubs is I didn't realise how bad financially they all are, and they don't get enough support from RFL. They have to do a lot of their own fundraising. Like, I mean, when we had got Cornwall, I think like they have fined 5-6 grand for take you down there, plus then give you contract money, playing money. So it's proper open my eyes, League One. I think they need a bit more credit. It's all right when these fans are on Twitter saying just get rid of all Deadwood and that. There's a lot of genuine people who are really trying to get them and strive. Like with this IMG, well, they're asking us do this and do that, and I just think. Like Rochdale got pulled for a gantry being a metre short. What do they need a gantry a metre longer for? They're not winning Super League in the next 4 or 5 years. They don't need to. Like they're losing points on a big screen and a gantry. Come on, like they play at a professional football ground. If it's good enough for FA Cup when they play Tottenham Hotspurs, it's good enough for Rochdale v whoever we're playing, North Wales Crusaders. I just feel a bit. I do genuinely feel sorry for all these lower league clubs, like because they're not just clinging on. I understand why they said they're just clinging on. They are clinging on because they don't want to be brushed under the carpet. Because they are trying though. They're not just clinging on and not doing anything about it. Sometimes their hands are tied, and I've seen it. And I think you have to go and live it and see it to understand it personally. I mean, yeah, it's one of them. I do feel for them, and it's good though as well. Like I said, you meet genuine people who do it for the love of the game and not just because they're getting paid a load of money, etc. And that's backroom staff as well.
No, and you like. I think these clubs as well, especially the lower down, they have almost the right people in place. Because I know when I was at North Wales Crusaders, like I say, some years ago now, they didn't have the right people in place, so it was a bit. They were clinging on, but now they're in a place where they're really like sustainable, both on and off the pitch, but probably not to the, like you said, the extent of say your Super League clubs or your top end Championship. Like Rochdale, you guys are lucky you've got someone whose passion for the game is, like say, second to none in Andy Maisie. So that passion will always be there because it's from these genuine people that want the sport to thrive and succeed.
Yeah, and it's hard because you're trying to, like, I was literally on about it the other day, and with Andy, and I think he's given 80 or 100 season tickets to Rochdale Mayfield to kids this year because he's trying to get some of the adults back, and it's tough. But I said, like, obviously, you do want a bit of a fast response, but at the same time, you do have to play a bit of a waiting game because you can't just expect them to come straight flying through the door. We've got to understand we are still League One. We're not knocking on Super League's door, and it's hard. We have to do our bit on the pitch and then help out off the pitch as well. But like talking about these genuine people, you look at Frank Taylor at Leigh. He's been there since 80s. He's done everything for that club. He's bailed us out. We had no kit one year. He paid for the kit. There's hundreds of Frank Taylors knocking about in rugby league. You just don't see them unless you go and live it. That's what I mean. Like Frank Taylor, honestly, he's probably the best bloke I've ever met. Like he does everything for anyone, and everybody, any Leigh fan will know, or any Leigh player, current and former, will agree with me on that. But you go to these other clubs and you meet these people, and you don't see it. Like, and again, I'm not just bashing rugby league fans here, but when they're on Twitter saying these clinger honours, they don't see you Frank Taylors, and you've got 2 or 3 of them at Rochdale, yes. Onslow, Batley, all these places. All these people are doing it for free, for the love of the game, and they're trying. They are trying. And I just think that's why it's hard. And like I don't interact on Twitter with anyone like I used to. I not for finger, just because I can get frustrated with stuff because a lot of these fans have got a valid point, but they don't see this side of it though. Like I completely agree where game needs a big revamp and we need some investment getting through. And I know we don't say like, oh, why do we have to copy Aussies? But look at Aussies, how they are, how the money feeds through. And the amateur clubs are as rich as the bloody NRL clubs. It's just, and I know they have their own systems and that, but we need to get some new ideas. And like I say, we can't just be relying on your Frank Taylors of the world, keep dipping in his trust fund and throwing a few quid in for bail lads out for a bit of kit and that. It's just, or like I say with Andy at Rochdale, it's not Derek at Leigh. Relied on him for a long time. fair play. You know what I mean? He's put a lot of money in. I know clubs are sustainable Super League club now, but they're not. They wasn't always there. They've had to go through this process. And other clubs have been saying, it's all right coming in with a few quid, but you need these people behind you. And I'm telling you, like, just these genuine rugby people. And for me, dropping that full circle, going back, is why I played the game. I had people at Miners when I first started, like Harry Westhead, God rest his soul, used to live on corner. He'd come in and he had Parkinson's and he'd be shaking, opening the door for you, freezing Saturday morning. But he'd be there, and he'd have his kit out ready for you just because he loved it. And I think that's when you climb that mountain and you kind of, you miss a few of them on way. And then when you get back round and realise who the good people are. Alan Roller at best ever to me, and he said, how do you feel like, because you leave the full-time environment, he said, do you feel like you were normal folk again? I was like, well, rugby league is normal folk. I said, we're not Premiership footballers. We're no better than anyone. I've never felt like I can't go in Britannia and not have a pint. I've always just been a league lad. I said, but I get what he means. Like, you're knocking around with these genuine people who do it for the love again. Like, you will come across people who are in it for the money. You will at any sport. It's not just rugby league, every sport in the world. You will have something like that. But yeah, it's just so it's going full circle. And like I said, these lower league clubs, it's tough, but it's enjoyable at the same time. It's challenging.
No, and like I say, I know, knowing you, who you are and how you are as a person, you'll love that challenge. I know that you'll love the challenge. You'll love whatever you go into next. Obviously, you mentioned about delving into the coaching side of things. I know that you will kick on, and that's just you as a person. That's just you. You've always been like that. Like, from when I've known you and when I came through, and like knowing you from then, and like I say, you knowing my dad, me knowing your, the kind of family link we've got. I know that no matter what you'll do, you want that challenge, because that's you, Ridy, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. I think everybody likes a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. It's a challenge getting up without having a sore back every day at the moment. Like, every day is a challenge, but it is not. It's like having a bit of, like, you know, when people need purpose. I just think, like, for me, it's more like the challenge side of things. And coming to the end of my career now, like, I don't. It's tough because, like, I still don't know what I want to do. Like, I've just turned 39 the other day, and like, last year I was on about jacking it. I was jacking it in after COVID, and I'm still here pulling boots on. But then I was in Harrogate with Mrs. She's going, imagine you playing next year and you'll be 40 playing still. And I was like, bloody hell, it sounds good, that, doesn't it? And like, alarm bells are ringing, and then I think, but now as I'm back, I'm like, well, you don't know. I don't know. I mean, you're a long time retired, but also I've enjoyed this coaching side of things. I really have, like, and it's not just about trying to come in and thinking like I'm Andrew Johns with this player, that player. And I'll always say to players, when I'm asking them to do something, I say, I want you to try it, probably because I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm not saying I can do it. I won't come across and say, well, move, I'll show you how it's done. Like, every player is different, and that's the new challenge for me, is learning each individual, and everybody's different. Like, you know, who, for the old cliche, is someone you need to give a kick up backside, someone you need to put your arm around, and that. And it's a challenge. It's like starting all over again. It's like starting school again. It is though, with coaching. Yeah. Like, I'm useless with laptop. You were waiting 10 minutes for me, joint request, and I'm going, Elliot, are we on here or what? I'm sat here waiting. It's like me, I've not put my name in and just request link. So this is a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned how to do clippings and stuff. It's good. Like, it's tough getting home from work and trying to train and clip and that, but it's a challenge. And yeah, I do like that. Like, don't get me wrong. There's times where I just think, it's what an early night, me. I don't want to be doing this. There's other times where if I've been off, like, and just sat on couch and yeah, I need to do something. But so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Like, say, I'm 39, not out, but might be. I'm taking some spin balls at the moment, so they're tough.
I think just beat Fui's record of like 57 and it'll be fine.
Yeah, no worries. Fui's still trying to go. He's going to leave rugby union, I've heard.
Oh, for God's sake, don't say that.
I'm asked to try and get him playing this charity game. So we're playing a charity game, funny enough, which I'll give it a mention now, for Dave Sargent, for his kid. It's like it's brilliant what they do, actually, when I've looked at them. So all the dads and they're all different charities, and they all go and play in each other's games, and it's like the Rugby League All-Stars against Life for a Kid charity, and ours is Rugby League for Autism, which is good. And like, looking at that again, back to like the genuine side of it, but all these ex-pros who are all, not one of them said no unless they can. Like, and I'm turning up at Miners again. You know, this fanboy thing. Stood there, me and Lockers is doing thingy, and Lockers is like, all right, and I'm like, mate, you've won about 8 grand finals. How do you know me? Like, what's going on? we're back to back like that, and it's saying Battle of the Legends. And I feel like just going like that, looking at you, thinking, can I have your autograph, pal? But then, but it's good, and like I'm looking forward to like. So again, that's a new thing. Like when you retire, it's not the end of the world. Like you can do stuff like that, and you're doing good things for good people as well. And so like I'm looking forward to that a bit as well. Like I said, so that'll be interesting. So that was it. Sorry, with Fuifui, I've asked him playing. He's like, oh, I don't know, docs. I say it's not full contact, and he's like, oh, maybe. And then obviously Lickerland goes to same school at Gilded, so I see him all the time now. And I just go behind him and I go, you play in, and he goes, oh, I don't know, docs. I said, put gold shorts on. I said, but then Fuifui, and then he's playing in a charity game over there.
Yeah, he's up in Cass playing in some charity game as well.
He's mad, and I said, I won't mind. When I was at Oldham, when I played against him at Rochdale, me and Joshua were talking about it. He said, what would you do if Fuifui ran into Wellard? Because our Joshua feels like he knows Fuifui because he just speaks to Joshua at playground now. And I go, mate, he's ran at me. And he said, what happened? I went, he elbowed me. He said, what did you do? I went mad at him. Said I thought we were friends.
Honestly, going on from that story, I remember when he first came over, Fuifui, 2015. Me and my dad went to this marketplace in Bolton. Honestly, it's inside of a council estate in Bolton, but it's got all the Tongan food in there that you could wish for. Like they just shipped it in from all different places, and Fui's got a big bag of pistachio nuts in his hand, like he's like a size 5 rugby ball. So he goes round to me and goes, "Oh, Elliot, how do you carry a ball in?" I said, so I had this bag of peanuts in my hand in the middle of an aisle in some random marketplace. I'm like, just like this, Fuifui, just like holding this bag of peanuts like it's a steed. And he goes, no, this is what you do. And he's like that, running with his elbow at me. My dad's walked off, leaving me and him in the middle of an aisle. How do you take a carrying? Thinking, what is this?
Yeah, mad, isn't it? It's mad. Yeah, what a guy though, man. Another one, like just legend.
Oh, mate, honestly, it's been mega listening to everything, your career, the passion you've got for rugby league still. 39 not out, it's mental. Like it's been brilliant.
But it's a good job you can cut it, Elliot, because I can be a bit. I'm not shy, me. I'll always talk to someone, but when I get going, it's like you can't shut me up a little bit.
Oh, no, I love it, and this is what this podcast is about for me. It's about chatting and like reminiscing, but also just getting into people's psyche and what they're about and what they're like as people. So to finish off, Ridy, we're going to do a quick fire round. All right. So I'm going to throw 10 questions at you.
Let's get answers up here. So I don't
get your answers ready. Right then. Question number 1. Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Oh, took a bit of time then.
No, because I'd rather have an extra garlic bread than a dessert. So.
Nah, like it. Man after me on that, garlic bread with cheese.
Oh, unbelievable.
Number 2. Hero. Now, this can be at any walk of life. It doesn't have to be rugby league. It could be any walk of life. Who is your hero?
My hero's always been Sir Tommy Martyn. It's mad, really, because like he's in my phone book as my mate now. But like, yeah, Andrew Johns, Tommy Martyn, rugby league. But ever since watching like Last Dance, sports icon Michael Jordan, unbelievable. Like, yeah.
What a documentary.
You know when you say about bringing them to tea, it'd be Sir Tommy, Michael Jordan, Andrew Johns. No questions.
What a doc as well. That got me through COVID, that documentary.
Well, you know what? I've watched it 300 times. It's brilliant.
So good.
Like the way he is. And it's like I'm like running around yesterday thinking, well, if MJ could do it, I can do it. And then I'm going, oh, but my back's going, my knee's going, everything. You're not MJ, lad. You might have a Chicago Bulls vest. Just chill out.
Love it. Number 3, if you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Garlic bread with cheese.
Oh, my man. 100%. 12-inch garlic bread with cheese.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, yes, get it. Number 4, cats or dogs?
Garlic bread with cheese. I mean, sorry, dogs. Dogs.
Dogs, like it. Number 5, would you prefer to travel back in time or travel into the future?
That's a tough one, that. No, I always said don't live with regret. Like, you make your decision and that's that. Like, and can be any walk of life, especially like with rugby, you make some decisions. But for me, travel back in time, just so I can, like, old relatives and stuff like that.
No, I love that. That's class. Number six. This one, I'm a bit thingy with this one. So let's see what you say. The toughest player you've ever played against.
Ooh, toughest player to play against. Well, I'm going to do the old cliche saying, like, anybody who plays rugby is a tough bloke, which they are. Probably. That's hard, that. I mean, I played against some naughty people back in there. Amateur, like, going Thornhill as a 16-year-old, East Hull away, West Hull away. You're playing against, like, old school pros who played in the 80s who's just knocking 10 bells out of you. Steve Menzies was a tough player. Good, skillful, like, not dirty player. But who would I say was, like, who I didn't like playing against? Like, he was a tough player. That's a tough one, that, Elliot. Big one. Oh, man. I'll probably go with, because I only played against Steve Menzies a couple of times. So, who did I play? Who did we play in, I think? I've never ever worried about playing against a player, but I've always, like, thought, bloody hell, like, he's been an handful or whatever. So, I can't really nail one on that.
Now, do you know what? Because I knew it'd be a tough one because you'll have played against some unbelievable players, no matter whether it was once or whether it was a number of times. So I'll let you stew on that one. Have a think about it.
Still, yeah, it's hard because, like I say, it's even going back to amateur days. There's some players there, and you just think, oh man, they was hard as nails. Like for me, I'd say like I did play against Tommy Goulding once. To be fair, Tommy Goulding, I always say he's harder than White Dog Poo because he's that hard. He's just, but it's not. He's got a good engine on him. He runs hard. He's not dirty. You just can't get away from him. He's like a rash, but skillful in that. Like so. But when I played against Tommy, it was only a one-off Challenge Cup game. He was at Rochdale, I was at Miners, and he was my babysitter growing up, so I was like in awe of him a bit. But I remember slapping mud on him in the face, and then I thought I'll just run off. But then playing with him at Leigh, and yeah, I'm going to say Tommy just because I played that one game against him, and I would like to say he's one of them who I played with. So
yeah, no, that's class. Next one, best stadium you've ever played in.
St James's Park.
Unbelievable stadium, isn't that?
Made my debut for Huddersfield there, and it was just an iconic stadium like that. Brilliant.
Love that.
Then LSV.
LSV a close second.
Just then Twist Lane.
Number 8. So, if I could take you back to one moment in your career, one moment you could relive it again, what would it be?
Now, everyone's got to think I'd say that Huddersfield try when I went full length 90 metres.
Yes.
Nah. I would probably... I've got two, really. The 2011 Northern Rail we worked on if it's drop goal time, don't have to, you can run it. And I just gambled. Like, ballsy move. I ran it and we scored winner. And the other one was, you look at OKR now, and I know they've been up and down, but you play OKR away, that is one tough game, whether they're in League One, Amateur, Super League. That drop goal.
2016.
Yeah, the drop goal. Just so, like, the drop, like, I know Huddersfield, like, yeah, it's the cliche 90-metre try, brilliant. Everyone can score an interception, but, like, the second half I felt was my better game was OKR, just because I felt like I controlled it and got in game. And there's a cracking picture of me like that, and Mickey with his arms in.
Yes.
So he's like a kid me being a kid watching him, and I made a caption of it saying Mickey's getting bruising. So it's like we're cheering for that, but yeah, like unreal. Probably them two, I would nail them two, which probably people would be surprised with that. But it's not always about like I didn't even score the winning try at Northern Rail. It's not about that. I was just involved in it. Like it started with me, but it didn't end with me or anything. It ended with Tom Armstrong. Littler did an incredible job at the end of it, but like it's just that scenario play. Like and again with that, it was the scenario play of Drinky had a couple of pot shots and missed that. I was going mad at Mickey effing and Jeffing and went, "You best give me that ball." And like, I think back now, I'm thinking, why am I talking to Mickey? I ain't like that, but like that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
As soon as he heard that, he was like, "Give me the ball," and I just nailed it. So it was like, I did my job. If I didn't do my job, the Mickey's spraying me. So I was like, yeah, good. That I'll nail them. Them with me too. I can't separate them.
Love that. Number 9. Let's see. One piece of advice that you've always lived by from being a young whipper to now and beyond.
I can't really remember much as a child. One thing I try and do a lot now is probably honesty with stuff, especially more in sport. But I'm trying to do it with kids as well. Honesty, and probably a respect thing mainly, like especially like with Joshua, mainly with Joshua and Freddie, which is my stepson, because they both play Miners. Is like, when someone's giving up their time for coach you on, say, a Wednesday or a Friday, you turn up and you don't mess around. Like, you're a kid, you're like, go and have fun and maybe mess around a little bit, but don't become a problem. Like, it's like that respect. And it's funny enough, chatting today, and it's like, I said to him, like, you don't have to win these tries or win these games and score these tries with this person. So just go and like, it's always about, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's like, so like when they go out, I don't want them, I know they're going to go and swear with their mates at 10-year-old. We've all done it. But I don't want anybody catching them doing it. And I want to be respectful to people all the time. So probably your what's it called? I can't think of the word. It'll come to me. But like, so how you like present yourself?
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like my dad told me like things like that, how I present myself. So like it was always, I don't want anybody coming back saying he's a little shit or something like that. And my dad didn't want that about me, and I don't want that about kids. I want them to like, be humble, respectful, polite, but go and be but go and be a kid at the same time. So
be yourself. Be yourself with respect.
How to present yourself a little bit, which is that's what I try and live with kids big time.
No, brilliant. Love that. Then last one. I could grant, if I'm now your Magic Genie Ridy, I can grant you one wish, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Bloody hell, Elliot. Do you know what? Probably a little sad one. I'd probably just want, like, make sure I've got this lifetime of happiness. Like, I've had ups and downs. Like, I got a new wife, etc., and a couple of stepkids, and I'm a different guy. Yeah, they do make me a different person. It's class, and I feel like I've not, like, you go through a divorce and I don't need to delve into that, but like it's a two-way thing. Like everyone can blame each other, and I'll put my hand up and know where I've been wrong a lot of times. So that's where the honesty thing's coming a lot now. I try to be honest about everything. Not just about rugby, like say with this man management and coaching. I try to do it in life with the kids and everything. But I think, I'd probably just say a lifetime of happiness with what I've got now.
There's not sad at all, mate. That's beautiful, that. And that's a wonderful way to end it, I think, mate.
Everyone will say, yeah, he is different. You said that. You said money.
He said more money off the Degsy. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Honestly, like, it's been an absolute pleasure listening to you, mate. Honestly. And obviously, I've known you from being so young and watching you and being lucky enough to be even just being on the training pitch with you, and like you said, you knowing me, knowing who I am, and like, and getting to know you as like, you're one of the most down to earth blokes I've ever met, and it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you tonight, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I said, when you asked me, I had seen a couple of them, and I just thought, like, I was like, when's he gonna ask me? Yeah, man, come on. Nah. I just said, like, I have no qualms. Like, say, it's going back again to that thing where you feel like you're just a normal bloke here, and you can't say no to things like this. It's hard. Don't get me wrong, it's hard. It's landed really lucky for me with timings. Mrs. has gone away for a couple of days with kids and that, so like, I'm home alone. I've got a couple of hours passing between clipping now, so it's like I don't mind helping anyone best I can. It's just obviously, and I do like doing it. It is nice to go down memory lane with a few things, and not just about the glory days at Leigh, with other things like with amateur and like say with Bedford Eye. That's a new one for me. Talking about teachers and schools, but I enjoyed it. It was good. So like I say, I can talk a glass eye sleep sometimes. So enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
No worries, been brilliant, mate. And thank you to everyone who's come on and listened and watched episode 4 with me and Ridy. Just before I finish, I do want to give a massive shout out, and we have mentioned him today, Mickey, and what you're going through. Rugby league community, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into it, but what a guy, what a man, and God bless you, mate. God bless you and that lovely family you've got. Yeah, we know what we're talking about. Rugby league family, you know what we're talking about. Yeah, so God bless Mickey. God bless beautiful family of yours, and we're behind you 100% of the way.
Legend.
Okay, so good night. God bless. Thanks for coming to another episode of Loose Lips with Liku.